You had a bag anyway.
handed me the sash that they used to wear in Knock, and he said, "Put that on you." And being only 18 or 19 and not sure what it meant to wear a sash in Knock, he says, "It'll get you in." So I put this sash over my bomber jacket and proceeded to try and make my way into the main building, only to discover that all of the people that were inside the building were trying to get out. Meanwhile, there was a few thousand people outside, and there was as many as it could hold inside, but they were trying to get out because everything was happening outside. So on the stage then was the entire hierarchy of Ireland. I forget who was the Archbishop at the time, and the entire Fianna Fáil party. It was of its time, and I believe Charlie Haughey had flown in, I think with Paul Durkin was in the helicopter. He tells a great story about it as well. And the next thing, I get this tip on the shoulder. Now, I've been crushed at this stage. This guy tips me, a bit like yourself, Ollie. There's a man from RT, a man with the camera, and he said they won't be able to get down from the big stage down to perform the opening. And I looked at him, and he looked at me, and I realised then I was wearing a sash, which meant that I was supposed to be doing security. And this is why all the people who were doing stewards and Knock were doing security on the day. So I said, "What do you want me to do?" And he says, "Well, we need about 10 yards clear of the building," he said, "for the formal party to come down." It was lashing rain at this stage. And I turned around, and I was only a young guy, not too long out of school, and I just spotted other people wearing sashes who had nothing to do with security. I knew nothing about security, and I started giving orders. Now, they probably thought I was a lot younger than them. They didn't know who I was. Maybe I was an undercover guard or something like that, or security, on a security brief. And I started saying, "Guys, we need to make room here." And I was taking my directions from the guy from RT. And I was looking back to him with the camera, and I said, "Is that good enough?" And he says, "No, we need more space." So I called again, and I called down the line and got all of these guys. Meanwhile, this man in a uniform, an Order Malta uniform, called John Egan from Knock, who subsequently worked with a few years later, and we told the story. But he was the head of security for the day in his Order Malta, and he had his white gloves on him and everything else. And he beckoned me over as the camera was coming down, and I was at the front trying to hold the crowds back. And he beckoned to me with his white gloves, and he said, "Grab the end of that." And I didn't know what he had this ribbon in his hand. No, I wasn't even supposed to be here, so he rolls out the ribbon, and I stand one side of the entrance to Knock Airport, and he stands the other. And we're right there at the opening of Knock Airport. And the cameras come, we hold the crush back, and the cameras come, and Charlie Haughey comes down and cuts the ribbon. And I didn't think too much about it, but I noticed afterwards lots of people started to run up that they wanted pieces of the ribbon. Now, I'd never been at the opening of anything else, but this was the opening of Knock Airport, and I had the ribbon. Now, remember that evening I had a brother in college in Sligo, and the done thing on a Friday evening was to hitchhike, come rain or shine, down to Sligo, and then meet up in whatever pub the students were going out in. So I went home, it was around 6 o'clock. My mother says, come in, and look at, so they're showing Knock Airport on the television, and there's the picture of our Taoiseach and everybody else, and myself with the ribbon, the piece of the ribbon that I had taken. And actually the actual shot of the ribbon being cut, after the whole thing was over, the man from RT came over to me again and said, "Can we do that again?" So I held out the ribbon, and someone grabbed the scissors, the sound man or something else, and they done the cutting. Now, they didn't show it, but apparently they do this at openings, that if the big shot didn't come out. And that evening I hitchhiked down to Sligo. There's a group of students, and I think it was Hartigan's Bar, or one of those bars that were popular in Sligo at the time. And I arrived in with all these students who I didn't know, and produced from my pocket the ribbon that opened Knock Airport that day, and got everybody in the pub to sign the ribbon. Like Sinead.
And you still have it?
It's somewhere.
It's somewhere, yeah.
It's somewhere. It'll be
well, it's a historical item now, isn't it?
We have evidence somewhere.
Well,